silent 5 count. Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on Friday, February 13th. I hereby call to order a meeting of the Westborough Affordable Housing Trust. We have a quorum of 5 present, and so we will dig into today's meeting. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes from December 12th, 2025.
I move we accept the minutes as printed in our packet.
Moved and seconded. Any corrections or discussions? All in favor? Motion passes 5-0 with 5 being present.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Do you need someone to take minutes, or is she just?
No, I'm recording it and Westborough TV is recording it, and so she'll be able to pull the minutes off of it. Oh, I will note that the assistant town planner, Kristen Bellinger, is not with us today. She's out ill, so she'll be doing, but she'll still be able to produce the minutes. And this meeting is being simulcast live and recorded for future viewing by Westborough TV, and we appreciate that. So next up on our agenda is discussion of the HB Cottages project. In the packet, there were 2 proposals for the consultant for the community engagement session. I will apologize in that something happened with the email and the proposal didn't make it to everyone on the trust. There was a 3rd proposal submitted as well. So we do have 3 proposals that we haven't had a chance, and the timing hasn't had a chance to review. What I would suggest at this point is that the working group for the HB Cottages project review the 3 proposals. If anyone has questions about the 3 proposals, and I'll forward the 3rd proposal out to everyone immediately after the meeting, if they could send those to Kristen and myself by end of day Wednesday. And then the working group can take those questions. We can decide if we should solicit answers from the bidders and get responses. And then the working group would meet and come back at our March meeting with a recommendation on which vendor to go forward with.
Alan, I did notice the scope didn't appear to be the same for the 2 bidders. One bidder bid on doing the charrette, or whatever you want to call it, and doing an RFP, and the other one didn't bid on the RFP.
Yeah, we'll normalize.
You need to balance the scope, and
Yep.
I would be surprised if we were ready to do an RFP when we got
No.
immediately when we got done with the charrette.
Right. We would do the RFP work
Yeah, we
separately.
got to figure out what we learned. I expect it to be difficult to figure out what we learned.
Yeah, but I thought that bid kind of accounted for that timing.
It may be, just.
Yeah, we'll take a look
We
and
may want to go, I mean, I actually just, I don't want to talk about preference, but I like the fact that one of the bids discussed actually preparing the RFP for us.
so, but one of the other bidders had sent an email saying, does this include preparing the RFP? And my response to them was no,
Okay, I didn't.
that it was just for the community session. But
Okay.
You don't even know what the scope of
we
the
can look.
RFP is gonna look like.
we can look in the working group to decide, do we want the other 2 bidders to
Right.
come back and add the RFP preparation
That's,
down the road, or do we want the one bidder to give us a price that excludes it?
oh yeah, I would
knowing
like to
that we would
compare
do that.
apples to apples.
Yep.
So that we're comparing apples to apples. And so we'll proceed in that direction.
Right. The only 2 things I saw in the packet were the 2 Barrett and Innes. Were the
Right,
only
right.
2 that were.
There's a 3rd one that was submitted that I apologize to them and all the bidders that it just didn't make it through the administrative process in time. So that's on me, and it happens, and we'll move forward and get things back on track. The other aspect of HB Cottages is just property work and maintenance. Because there are a couple of outstanding issues.
The only thing is that chimney, I've been checking stuff, called chimney, they said, when the snow is off the roof, give us a call back, and then we'll see what timing we have. So that's the only thing. Everything else, there's nothing other outstanding. We haven't been shoveling the sidewalks. I could probably, if we get another big snow, I do have somebody, high school kids that have come and shoveled our walk, so I can reach out to them.
Okay.
Is that our obligation?
There's no obligation
Okay.
for clearing the sidewalk. There is no, we tried to put an ordinance in place back in the end of my first term in the select board, and that the public hearing was pretty adamant against creating an ordinance that would require it for property owners to clear the sidewalk. I think we can do it as a
Good neighbor.
a courtesy of the neighbor. The other piece of work that was pending, and I don't know if they've gotten to it, was, and now they'd have to wait a little bit, is the DPW tree department
Yes.
division was going to go in and do safety and health pruning
Right.
on the trees.
One tree in particular, but
They were going to do they were going to look at the whole property and inspect all the trees.
right, which they did, and then they're going to come. I think there was only one
That
from my
needed
view, but DPW director said once the ground got hard, because they'll bring trucks
Right.
in, and I haven't looked to see if they did it. I didn't get any
Okay.
comments. I'll check on my way home.
Okay, check on your way home or,
See.
or give them a call and see. If they haven't yet, obviously they're gonna wanna wait.
So the snow's
The snow's lower at
dissipated,
least,
that
so the truck doesn't get stuck, but they certainly want it, by doing it with the ground frozen, they don't have to worry about power lines and doing it off of ground headers.
right.
They can drive the truck onto the property and take care of that. Okay, I will draft, an email out to those who subscribe to be on the waiting list for the project to give them an update on what's happening and what looks like the general timeframe for the spring as far as picking a vendor and then scheduling the community workshop. And let folks know that, so they're aware of what's happening with the property. And I'll also mention that we're arranging tree work through the DPW, it's sort of weather contingent, as
So
well
who are you
as
sending that
chimney
to?
work. We have neighborhood members who've subscribed to our mailing list for the
Okay,
project.
that one. Yeah.
We'll go out.
So most of the bids included a timeline. It might be good
We'll
for us
let-
to check in with them since we're not picking until March,
Yeah,
the timelines in the bids may
Yeah,
not be
yeah.
applicable, and I don't want to surprise the bidders.
I'll
With
I'll
the
definitely notify
timing
them
that-
and give them an update
Yeah,
as well.
That doesn't work.
So-
Okay.
So I've actually blocked time on my calendar this afternoon to take care of a whole list of things that's on my to-do list for the trust, as well as finishing up our annual report for the town clerk's annual report and confirming people's terms. So that the website, the new system for tracking board membership on the website is correct. So, okay. Anything else on HB cottages? This is going to be a quick meeting. Next up is town meeting and the warrant articles. I included draft 5 of the warrant. Draft 6 was published.
Just published.
But I don't think there's a change in numbering for us. So there's 2 things to consider. One is Article 21 is a transfer
Alan,
to the housing, pardon?
I thought that was taken off because they'd already done the transfer.
No, this is new money. The payment hadn't arrived in time for fall town meeting, but it was deposited, was what I heard. So
Yeah,
I'll
we'll go
take a
over
look
that
at,
on the
I'll take a look at,
financials.
it's still in 6, isn't it?
So, note, the transfer to the affordable housing article has been removed as the funds were transferred at the prior town meeting. So that came out in version 6.
Okay, then it's off.
So
I'll double
I think
check.
we should check with,
I'll
yeah,
double check
I'll
with
let you-
Jonathan
yeah.
and Christie.
Because I thought they found additional, or maybe they thought there was additional money.
Ed, you said you got current financial records, right? If it was
Well, I have what,
if it was transferred as a result of a fall town meeting, it should have been closed out last July.
No, there was no vote at fall town meeting to transfer the funds.
Well, if there was no vote, then
Yes,
they
sir.
can't transfer the funds.
No, okay, no, sorry. The
Fall town
The fall
meeting-
town meeting transferred the funds from the prior year.
All right, let's investigate.
We'll
it,
go
'cause
through-
we
I'll
need to
investigate
get
it.
in and put it
I'll
back on the
investigate it.
warrant.
Again,
Okay.
if the funds were
Right.
transferred, Ed, they should show up in your financial record. And if they're not in your financial
Right.
record, then somebody's gotta
Everything has
fix
been
it.
transferred
There-
up. Okay, we'll do it at financial time.
Yeah, we'll follow up. There may be confusion of the timing last year versus
Right.
this year, because it's an annual payment. It's an annual payment from Pulte that happens right around,
September.
usually it's scheduled to happen right after they close the warrant for fall town meeting. And so the vote in fall town meeting was a catch up from prior payments and accrued interest.
But there
There
wasn't
sh-
any accrued
There
interest.
there should have been another payment that's come in since then.
Okay.
And
Let's
so
just
we'll follow up with that. Okay.
Do we need to take any action on that, or?
Well, so I was just gonna say, if it is on the agenda, I have a family commitment. So this will be the first annual town meeting in like 17 years I won't be attending, but I'll
I'm
be
sure
out
Ed
of
can
town.
handle
So
it.
I will just ask if there is something that, whether it's Ed or whoever wants to step up and present the warrant article.
Well, Ed's really good at that stuff.
That's very good at it.
I think you've been voluntold.
Distinguished.
You're very
If you're willing to do it.
extinguished.
Okay.
I have a Girl Scout sleepover the night before, so I might be late too,
You beat all.
and I also might be.
Well, it's
You're very-
Article-
you're
it's
very
Article 20
brave.
It's Article 21, so it'll be very late in the day.
Oh, that's
So,
Yeah, it'd be around 11.
plenty of time.
Yeah, no, it all.
You'll have time to sleep in. Okay. The other part of ATM article discussion is, are there, Sustainable Westborough would like to come before us at our March meeting to present their warrant article and solicit a vote of support. And hopefully one of us would be willing on behalf of the trust to step up at town meeting if there's an opportunity to express our support. My question, are there other articles on the warrant related to housing, zoning, et cetera, that we would want to consider making a statement, in our advocacy role?
I mean, there's obviously the zoning for the business, simplification, but I don't know how that might affect us. You have any views, Mark, maybe?
I'm sorry, I was trying to figure out what day town meeting. was.
Okay. No, one of the things is, another article is the downtown business I call it simplification.
Yes, the zoning.
The zoning.
Yeah.
I don't know how that might affect
Do we
us.
want to take a position? And so I don't think, one thing about the zonings is 10,000 square. It's, if you want to do a site plan, you have to have 10,000 square feet minimum. So in that sense, the inclusionary zoning should apply, because most 10,000 lots will be over will support over the 10 units. The smaller lots would still need
trigger
to trigger the inclusionary zone. The smaller lots would still have to do, anything under 10,000 square feet would still have to do a special permit, but presumably those would be less than 10 units in most cases.
I mean, we could, I guess, there are two zoning articles.
Well, which one are you?
Well, I'm looking, the one, Article 30, which is Research Drive.
Yeah, well, that one we
Would-
might want to weigh on as well.
Right, we might want to weigh on, because part of what would allow is multifamily housing and mixed use. And that part of the community, so we could weigh in on that. And then even with the downtown, even if it's something where we don't think it'll negatively impact affordable housing or the inclusionary zoning rules, we may want a brief presentation and to weigh in on that. If the trustees feel they'd like to know more, we can invite our planning director into our March meeting to do a brief presentation and provide us with a draft letter of support. that we could,
Or we would provide.
or we could provide one.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's worth having her come in and sort of go over it. That way, if we have any questions, we can get.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we could invite Jennifer,
Well, I think that the landowner on research is making the presentation, so we may want to invite them through Jennifer.
okay.
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 I'll talk to
Yeah.
Jennifer and see. All right.
Yeah, if we can coordinate either,
And then offline, I just want to ask you how this is in spot zoning, but we'll
Uh,
get there.
I made some comments at the meeting the other day that it's been investigated and technically it is not spot zone,
Okay.
but we can talk about it.
Okay. So, so I'll reach out this afternoon, extend those invitations. And, okay. So if there's nothing else on annual town meeting articles, next on the agenda is the SHI, sort of some of our operational updates, financial statements and SHI tracking. So I will open up the financial statements and put them on the screen. There they go.
oh, that's, yeah. I have
I'll leave
paper
it big.
copies if,
Okay, and that is paper copies for us to look at, but I do want to be able to
yeah, for everybody.
see. Okay, and so I'll turn, for
Yeah.
the financial update, I'll turn it over to Ed.
Okay, this is as of January 31st. It received statements from the Rockland Trust, as well as I got a dump of all expenses from Finance Department. So this is up to date. We haven't had any other expenses, in the last 2 weeks. So if you look at the bottom sort of block, it's the cash flow or cash inflows to portfolio. And you'll see over on the right-hand side under 2026, there's a 404,000 inflow. And what that is there were last March's town meeting, annual town meeting was voted. One, and then also another 201,000 plus at the fall town meeting. So this was the catch up of both of those. So we're up to date on transferring into the trust. And the benefit of being in the trust is money in the stabilization fund, where things get initially deposited, is not invested. So that's why you see just below that 400,000, 71,000. That's what to date, fiscal year to date 2026, we've received in mostly interest. There's some, about 2/3 is in treasuries, and the other third is in various bonds and a few equities. So that's how much we've earned, just have, of the monies that's sitting at Rockland Trust. So by moving it over to us, we do get to around 2+% return, which is better than nothing. So the rest you should be familiar with. We really haven't spent much so far to date this year on either projects or trust administration, which is in the top line. And really the key thing that we can look at is in the very bottom, the net allocated. And if we want to come down, we can see what our assets are. And then right there, we still have, and I needed to get an update, and I was hoping Kristen would be here, but to get the final number for the Baylor Avenue subsidy and when that's going to be paid, it's going to be less than that. We also have the escrow that can come off the books once they, I assume, once they get the CO, I can eliminate that. And that's about it. So we'll have, approximately 1.8 million available funds
Okay.
at our disposal if something it would come up where we would want to bid on it. Individual projects are on the other side.
So the last update I had on Baylor Avenue was that the builder and the homeowner who won the lottery decided to delay the closing because they were able, I believe the homeowner was able to get a grant, and they are installing solar.
Oh, wonderful.
And so,
So they got a grant to do solar, so,
yeah,
all right.
so that's in the mix and the timing. So I believe the CO has been issued, but I'll double check on that, and we'll go back and look at the escrow agreement, and we'll look to get an update on, the closing.
All right. The escrow, I doubt if they, that was in case they found anything last minute, but at this
Right.
point,
At this point,
if they haven't,
They have not.
they're not going to.
Okay, very cool.
The only other thing I have to check was when they did the expenditure dump, they did show the cutting of the checks that we were using for the auction for the Lyman Street, 0 Lyman Street.
Yep.
Where we went in. They did it, but then they didn't reverse it. But I just, that's not even included in
Okay,
this. I
so
just
you'll-
ignored it.
You'll follow up with that.
Could you just send me this file so I don't
Sure,
I
sure.
don't do much with paper.
I'll forward it. to
Thanks.
everyone. So,
Just storage is easier that way.
Yep, no, I agree.
yeah.
But since it wasn't in pad, I figured this was easier. Any questions?
I agree.
I'd just rather have it digital.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
And
paper anymore.
Very little. Yeah, I would just scan this in if I had to, but it's easier for me to ask Ed to email it. So.
we'll get it. We'll get it to you by email. We'll get it
Yep.
to everyone. Question about the national grid bills for. 6
Yeah,
Beach.
basically, what I can show real quick. Or no,
You just an update. It's
yeah,
the issue-
basically between Kristen and I and finance department, the problem had been, just so everybody knows, we don't know where they went. For the past year, N-Grid bills were not coming to us. And I had brought that up. If you looked at the statement, they were addressed to 6 Beach Street. But I think the post office knew that it was Town of Westborough, 6 Beach Street, and they had been forwarding them. We finally got the past bills for the past year. It wasn't a ton of money. We're in the few hundreds because we're not using any electricity. And as a result, we got everything. We resolved everything. There were some payments that were done as a bulk that made things a little bit more complicated, like from finance. We should be up to date. Our next statement should have a 0 past due.
okay.
Thank you.
That is great. Okay. And then next up is talking about SHI tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll pull that up as well and try and make that a little bigger. Actually, let me do this. There we go. So now I can see locally. My eyes aren't good. 2 things. So basically, one of the things that came out of some of the discussions back and forth with the community around the HB Cottages project were questions and level of understanding issues around how the SHI formula works and what it means and where the town is. And so we've been, as part of our role of the trust, we work cooperatively with the planning department and community development department to monitor and manage the SHI list from the state. And that the way it works is every year they send us what they believe the information is, and we let them know what's incorrect or what we believe is incorrect or they've missed on the report. And since they go through the towns and correct the report in alphabetical order, it can take 10, 11 months for them to update our spreadsheet because we're sort of we're in the W's. And and so, but part of the issue is also understanding where we're going to be in the future, right? And knowing that planning, planning for housing, planning for development, planning for management of SHI is something that you do need to look 10, 20, 30 years out, because decisions now can have a lasting impact. Okay, so we did last year reach agreement with the state on the number of units in Westborough and our SHI units as of the 2020 census. We've gone through, and appreciate the town staff's help with this, looking at property records as to what was permitted for development or built since then, and then looked at estimates of what is expected going forward between now and through the end of 2029 as far as new units go. And so in this worksheet, we talk about 1830 Lyman Street, where we're providing a subsidy to increase the percentage of affordable housing. The Pulte Del Webb community hadn't had any certificate of occupancy as of the 2020 census. Those came right after. 25 Connector Road, we provide a subsidy. We know phase 1 of the Fisher Street project has received their permits. Work there is slow. The Ridings too, they've started building some of the homes there. That was permitted way back before inclusionary zoning. So there is no affordable component there. The Village Commons project was approved with 4 units. This is over off of Glen Street, I believe. And then we know that there were small unit projects where 38 single homes were built. These are people with a lot they subdivide and put up a second home, or take down two houses on adjoining lots and re-subdivide and put up 3 or 4. So below the threshold for inclusionary zoning. And when we look at average per year and time, the total estimate could be a potential another 100 of those types of units by the end of the decade. In the permitting process at the time this was done was Post Road Residential, the project at Route 9 and 135, and sort of expectations there for minimal expectations there for affordability. And we know that there's some proposals working. Ferris up in the commercial areas hoping to do 225 units of housing. The Zero Lyman project, DCAM, the minimum number of units that need to be built on that property is 19. It will likely be more than that. And there's the potential for phase 2 at Fisher Street of another 22 units. So these are the things we know about. We're just looking at averages. What the columns do is show that we started 2020 at 11.8%, which is really good for SHI management. And one of the things we've learned just looking historically at the town is when you go below 11%, you really do run the risk of actually being below 10%, right? Just because the way the timing of the numbers and the nature and when the census hits for units at the end of the decade, it allows for something to happen where you could inadvertently, I don't want to say accidentally, but inadvertently or let things slip. It's happened to us in the past where Westborough has slipped under the 10% threshold by only a couple of units. But in that small window, 40B development happened.
That's how Park happened.
Right?
That's how
Park happened, right? We literally months being below 10%, right? And so in the three columns here, we sort of looked at, worst case, looking at minimum requirements legally. What are we looking at for units and where do we end up in 2030? But we provided subsidies that add to our SHI. And this is the component in the law. It's an equity related component in Chapter 40B and the way SHI regulatory wise is calculated, that if you have rental units and it's a project and 25% are certified affordable, then you can count 100% of the units in your SHI inventory, in your unit count, even though only 25% are actually affordable. So instead of having 26 units at 1830 Lyman Street, we get to count, because of our subsidy, if the developer meets the requirements to receive the subsidy, we will get to account for 132 units. And similarly, instead of 22, a 25 Connector Road, which is the extended stay hotel to long-term rental conversion, instead of 22 affordable units, we would get to count 109.
9.
And that significantly, you can see it brings up, and you look at worst case, best case with the other projects and those estimates, it'll bring us up into 12.8 to almost 13%, which is very good movement. We're highly confident that those developers will collect the subsidy, in part because when we did the subsidy, we've got a very forward-thinking and affordable housing supportive planning board. The requirements of the subsidy are a condition of the permit. And so they would not be able to get certificates of occupancy under the permit unless they're complying.
My concern though, in that your worst case of 26 and 22 for those two projects,
Yep.
well, that's 25%. But if they're not going to take the subsidies, they don't have to go to 25%. They could reapply to the planning board and go down to the what, 15%, right? In the highway
That's
district?
true. That's true.
So
So I
that's,
can
that
mark,
should be your
I can
worst
mark
case.
that.
Yeah.
I can mark that as worst case.
And then what would that do to the percentage? If you're
I'll run
talking-
those numbers.
Yeah.
And
So
we'll-
just
yeah.
again, that would require an amendment to the special permits in both cases.
Right.
So I question whether
would-
they would go through that
It
process.
would also require some action with us.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
the subsidy agreement is filed with the registrar of deeds.
100%
So it's
understand, but
technically- technically the
the worst
subsidy
case is
agreement's
a little
a lien.
bit worse case
Right.
on this.
Yeah.
So-
But technically, so in a legal aspect, I learned that technically our subsidy agreements are a lien on the property, are considered a lien on the property because they're recorded. So thank you to our council for making sure that we did that in a way that gets recorded separately, not just as part of the permitting process. So when we look,
One more point on that. The other thing is if they're not built,
if they're not built, right,
that could be worst case too.
that could be, that's also a worst case,
Okay.
right?
Got it.
But it goes out of both the denominator and the numerator, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
So the impact is probably not,
Well, it's more than you think because the 109 units, it's,
Yeah.
and the
100% of
130
the
too.
build.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you,
yeah, about that,
when you,
right,
t-
okay,
so
not-
that's
they're
actually
not
the
built,
worst
you
case.
have a
If
problem.
we don't have those two rental projects,
Yeah.
and they're not built by the next census and on our SHI, then that could really jeopardize our percentage.
right, which is why when you're doing the planning and the estimate, 11%,
Yep.
11.5% is when you should start getting
I
nervous
do believe
because
that,
things happen.
I do believe that permitted projects can still be counted in our SHI.
I believe they can.
They can, but then they come off if they don't, if
They
the
come
permit
off if they don't
expires
have
or
it.
they don't happen.
Well, okay, I don't know if there's an expiration on those permits. That's something we should look into.
I thought it was 3 years now. Special
Could be,
permits. Okay.
Anyway, we're getting
Anyway.
sidetracked a little.
So,
It's probably a small number, but the other number we ought to think about, I'm not sure of how ADUs are counted. I'm guessing.
Well, there is an
assuming-
allowance there for 100 units that might come on board.
I'm assuming ADUs are considered dwelling units, but,
Yes, they are.
so,
ADUs are considered dwelling units, and ADUs can be affordable.
right.
Right.
Yeah, but you had accounted for 100 additional units outside of what's permitted.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, as an estimate.
So it's 100 not permitted units, that's,
Right.
yeah, that's funny.
Well, we hope, but we'll see.
So
Well, I haven't seen much ADU activity anywhere.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking
There-
about more about, if the Ferris project gets approved at town meeting, we may see a snowball effect up there. And that could,
Right.
fortunately, that's all under inclusionary zoning, so.
So, what we then did is set the two worst and the best case scenario and the total number of expected units based on our estimates for 2030 as the baseline, and then looking forward to 2040 and 2050, rough estimates of numbers of units that get built every decade. Right now, it's currently at about 1,500 total units every decade. So we continued that to 2040, looking at available land reduction through 2040. We estimated 1,200 net new total units of housing between 2040 and 2050. And the actual sort of percentage of new units being built that are affordable in any sort of period of time fluctuates between 6% and 12%. Sort of where zoning was versus where our inclusionary zoning is now and where it's coming out on average. So looking at those general averages, we now look at how many of those 1,500, 1,200 units would be affordable at each of those levels and where that would put roughly our SHI percentage in 2040 and 2050. And so you can see that, and again, once you get below 11.5%, something can happen, like a planned development doesn't happen and that throws the ratio off, right? Or a developer comes back in and wants to alter the special permit, or as our zoning changes by right, things could shift. At 11.5% or below, you have to be nervous that something unexpected outside of your estimation and expectations could draw you below that 10%. And so when we look at this, we can see that with the subsidies, we have a decent level of protection. But yet, worst case scenario, we have to keep an eye on 2040, certainly on 2050, as far as future development happens, making sure that we have the higher percentages of affordable units on a per project on an annualized basis. And there's some things that we can do to facilitate that. One is there is a local affordability option now under state law. My bad, just with all my travel and winter stuff, that working group hasn't met yet. We should get that working group moving to look at zoning changes. Most communities aren't requiring that ADUs or other units that convert to affordable under the local option are also SHI certified. And it's unclear if the state is going to extend what's allowed to be certified to assume local option units will be. There's some discussion that might happen, but that's a bit of a long, that would make things really easy for us, but a long shot. And so as we look at that potential program that would provide tax incentives for people to convert existing rental units, or if they're building an ADU as a rental unit, to build that as an affordable unit, doing it as just local option or doing it in a way that it makes it onto SHI. We'll explore that as well. But this is good sort of baseline information and hopefully provides an understanding of sort of how the percentages work for folks who are saying, well, if we do this project, we'll be at 15%. No, not the way state math works. To me, SHI math is a lot like paper towel math. When you look at the package of paper towels and it says 8 rolls equals 12 somehow. You know, all those magical equals and plus signs. It's all formula based. One of the items in here, you'll notice between 2030 and 2040, there's a comment about potential loss. Westborough Country Village has 87 units that are SHI affordable. The affordability agreement with the state expires in 2035 because that's when the HUD loans and the state financing will be paid off. The property under that development is zoned residential, which means our understanding is it's covered by Ardmore, the same issue we had with Northland, which would mean this would be in perpetuity.
It's a different piece of property.
Different property, but same
Yeah,
issue.
Westborough Country Village is over on Beach Street.
Yeah, so different property. So the company that owns
But it
that
was a
property,
comprehensive permit
right?
issued originally.
Yeah, it was a comprehensive permit issued originally, and under Ardmore, it would be affordable in perpetuity unless the zoning under the buildings changed from R1 from residential to something else, which we don't expect the planning board will want to do.
Well, I'm just double checking the latest change and
Yeah,
making sure that that's,
Please check the latest change to make sure that's not the case. But
I don't think it's it.
But the other thing is the company that owns that development in those buildings does affordable housing projects. It's sort of their business, right?
Yeah.
It's their niche, if you will. And so there's not a ton of concern about issues with this, but at some point over the next period of time, it probably behooves us or the town to reach out to them and say, hey, what are your plans for the property? You know, it's not uncommon for high percentage or 100% affordable properties to refinance. And so they'll say, oh, the property's now 30 years old. We're going to do upgrades and stuff. We'll refinance that through HUD and through the state again, which renews those affordability restriction and removes all doubt. And we can talk to them about our role as a trust as far as maintenance of affordable housing when they get to that point as well.
Yeah, they've refinanced once already
Yeah.
since they built it, and they kept it, and it's affordable at like 30%. I mean, it's well below
No,
the
very
80%.
low.
Yeah, it's very
It's
low.
very low.
Yeah.
It's affordable at levels that are typical of the Rogers Road
Yeah.
situation.
Well, that's what I was,
But it's really complicated because there's an REIT that owns the property, and there's a management company out of Boston that runs it for the REIT. So it's one of these pure investment property things. I'm sure when they go to refinance, they'll try to get state subsidized financing again. If it's available, they'll probably take it. If it isn't, you're gonna lose it.
great.
We'll see.
So-
But even if, again, Ardmore says it doesn't matter what the affordability agreement with the state is, because the property isn't zoned for multifamily housing. The only relief the town has for the zoning variance is the affordability component. So as long as that building can't exist by right, or there isn't, basically, as long as that building can't exist the way it is by right, which it can't right now because it's residentially zoned and not multifamily zoned, that the affordability restrictions stay in place.
So what I'm getting from all of this is that we still have a lot of work to do as a trust to get more affordable units
Yes.
in our community, right? And so, and the more units that we can do, the better for everybody. Because the other thing that I'm looking at with the first thing that you said, best case, worst case, and then worst case with no subsidies, is the worst case with no subsidies. That's the column that I look at, because even though we can count all 109 and all 132, that's actually not affecting 132 families and 109 families. It's only affecting 26, 22. So the reality is that even though we can count them, it's actually not helping that many people. So we do need many more units, not only just to maintain our SHI, but to actually support
Right.
people and families in Westborough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where I'm thinking, and I'm going back to, you know, we're going to be around for a long time because housing takes forever to build anyway. But I'm just thinking about going back to the Westborough Housing Authority too. And, you know, thinking about like their goal is to increase the amount of units that they have. We want to increase the amount of units of affordability here too.
Right.
Like we could get a lot more bang for our buck if we could just build on Rogers Road.
They're just on that point,
And I will
if
do.
I can interject,
Sure.
is, and we are running a little late. Two people have submitted papers for one open spot on that board,
Okay.
on the housing board, because there was, Jill was not re-upping, if you
Yep.
will, rerunning.
Okay.
Running again. So that opened up a slot. Two people have stepped forward for that position, which is
Okay.
good. So it may change some of the, you know, and Hank's been more involved with, I mean, more than any of us with some of the meetings and things like that. I don't know if that might help
Yeah, so I'm
move things around. a
I'm the
bit.
select board liaison to
Yeah,
that,
to the housing
but
authority.
I don't get a lot of communication from them. So
Yeah.
and I need to do a little more proactive.
Well,
Jill
what-
leaving
Might
is not
try
going to
go
help
to
the
a meeting
situation.
or two.
Oh, I went to a meeting, but
They-
they
they
haven't
are
let me
un-
know when their next meetings are.
They are unbelievably operate, I mean, they are down in the weeds of
So
Yeah.
approving the invoice for the,
one of their commissioners did reach out, actually right before the end of the year, saying after the holidays, when things settle down, she wants to meet with
Okay.
me to talk about some affordable housing and cooperation.
Okay.
And so, once that happens, if it's appropriate, I'll invite one or two other trustees with me, or I think this is gonna be an initial, hey, let's reconnect over coffee type thing, we'll do that. I'll let everyone know, and then we'll look towards it.
Yeah, and the other
Um,
thing is, you know, the senior center is gonna be open at some point for
For sale,
sale.
yes.
So
Yeah.
that would,
Yeah.
might be a logical extension of the housing authorities. Yeah, or something that we might want.
Yeah,
the other consideration with the SHI is that again, the vast majority, like 80 or 90 or 95% of the actual affordable units are rental units, not ownership units.
Okay.
In terms of economic impact in the long term on the families, ownership units have far more impact long term on the families, both in terms of economic benefit to the families and in terms of things like education and aspirations and just the ownership experience, the impact it has on the children of the families who are first-time homeowners is enormous. And we could do a lot of good for the community if we could get more affordable ownership housing in the community. I mean, we have, Westborough is becoming or has become a rental community, which makes it very transient. As opposed to, I mean, Ed, you and I both been here a long time, so others, but, I mean, this was a bedroom community, and this was a very stable, not much turnover community, and now it's a rental community.
Can I have the plug? I want to show something very quickly that I think goes to some things like this. I've just been doing some things. We've got a new dashboard towns. As you may know, that there's 16 towns that the there we go.
Oh,
let me
yeah,
try
16
to-
dashboard times.
there are 16 dashboard towns, and I don't know if people can see that. Let me make it a little bigger. Okay, these are the dashboard towns that we have now. Some are the same, some are new to the group. But what I did is I sorted this by 10-year, the last 10-year population growth percentage. And as you can see, Westborough is number 2. We grew by 20.5% over the past 10 years. You know, and that's using state numbers as of 2024. They say we have about 22,600 people. So we're a very desirable town. I think Hopkinton has grown just because they were not developed.
To Hank's point, I'd love to see this, 2 things added to this. One, the percentage of renters or
Yeah.
percentage of homeowners. But another thing would be the SIHI percentage for each of these towns. Would be very curious to see,
We could pull
Say
it.
that earlier. Curious
It's
to
pretty
see
easy to
where
pull
we
the
fall
SHI
relative.
percentage.
because that was
Yeah.
not
And I
factored
think
into
you can-
the
yeah.
selection of these, but
We can
You
pull
know.
those from Data Town.
Yeah, I did other stuff that was just,
well, a lot
Seeing
of the,
how close
a
we
lot
are.
of those
And-
were, a lot of those, like the population, you know, the income per capita, those were actual factors in how these towns were
how
selected.
they were chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can.
So, but anyhow, yeah, we
It
can
was,
throw together
just to
some
s-
more
just- if
numbers.
you're not familiar with how these were chosen, it was much more scientific this
It was.
time.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Than the prior one, which was,
there's a paper actually that explains the methodology.
yeah, I think that the finance team, John and, did a really good job at, how they came to these, these towns. and makes a
I
lot
had
more.
written a paper that showed how the old groups, you know, on a number of metrics, just we were outliers.
Yeah.
And that it
Yeah.
wasn't. So I think that hopefully spurred them to revisit.
Right.
My point was, I think it's time to revisit some of these towns because I think the old way was done.
Right,
more-
and I think that
Negotiated.
message was received and acted on,
and
so
they-
that's good. I'll give you credit next time I talk about this.
Okay, cool.
All
Thank you. Moving forward, issues and correspondence. Does anyone have any additional issues or correspondence to cover today?
The only thing I would suggest, we did see, and I don't know if anybody resolved it, was somebody emailed the trustees off the website about their need to get into an affordable house, et
So,
cetera. And we
okay,
got
so when, just so you know,
Just-
when those come in, I'll tell you how they're handled. Krista and I log them, and we have a set of response emails, standard responses that go out to the individual that connected with the resources that we list on the website, as well as Youth and Family Services and other agencies as a starting point for that. We don't CC everyone on those responses,
okay.
but,
What,
okay, go ahead.
before you cut me off, what I was going to suggest was maybe we make it very clear on some of those pages that we are not just to save us time and have people not spend all this time writing to us with their needs and things like that, is to say, we're not the ones that control who lives in what affordable housing. We create it, but lay out, here are who you should reach out to. Just for timing, so people see that and they go, oh, okay, I'm gonna go contact whoever. That was my suggestion.
We c-
I think it's a great idea, Ed, but I think
We should-
we're overrating the sophistication of the
I-
folks who are
It
contacting us.
may be, we should always still respond if we get it.
You
I'm
know,
just
direct-
saying
So
that
we
we've
can-
seen a number of times. and-
Connecting them to resources who are in the business of helping them would be very valuable.
So we do that. We can certainly add some of the homepage components of our website to say, this is what we do. If you're in need of housing or looking for housing options, here's our resource page, and
That's all.
that's due for another update, so we'll update as well. My only issue, correspondence, if we are working with the new town manager's office administrative assistant to make sure the new system on the website as far as board members is accurate. The information for the trust is not, so we are getting that updated. But if you see other information we need a round of updates on all the projects on the website as well, but if you see other information that needs updating or that you think we should add or change, just send me a note over the next week or so, because I've allocated time to get in there and catch up on the website updates and things of that nature as well. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Think we're not
606
really
being present. Thank you very much, and thank you,
Good
Westborough
meeting,
TV.
but I need to